Well, hey there, my honeydews. Tonight's video is also going to be a bit of a shorter one. Just going to go through the first 10 days of OC-TOBER and talk about the characters, talk about the drawings, talk about the challenge in general probably, and yeah, it'll be a good time. First up, on day 1, I'll be drawing Mello. Mello is, as far as I know, the first OC I ever made. I made them when I was around 11, so about 9 years ago now, and I had just started seriously getting into drawing, and honestly at first they were a magical girl. More specifically, they were kind of a Sailor Moon OC. I've never watched Sailor Moon, by the way, but like I said, I just started getting into drawing seriously, and as I recall, I thought to myself, what do artists draw? And I thought Sailor Moon. I was 11. Anyway, I don't remember if they had cat ears in their first design, but I am certain that they had the ability to turn into a black cat. Started out as, a magical girl, as I mentioned, but now they are a pirate in a story I've been working on for quite a while and have not made that much progress in because I keep starting over. That story is about 6 years old at this point. I started writing it in fall of 2019. I was bored in study hall as a freshman in high school, and they're a pirate captain. They captain a crew of other mythical creatures. Anyway, here they are, Mello. So in my head, I've been categorizing the prompts I made into 2 categories. Day 1, the prompt was your first OC, and that is in the category in my brain of example prompts. I want to see an OC that is an example of this thing. The other category is transformative prompts, which is what day 2 is. Day 2's prompt was as a different gender, and for it I picked my Bug Racer OC, Rose. Bug Racer is an event that Strawberry Stab Wound put on. It was sort of like Art Fight, where basically you drew characters from the other team in order to get points for your team, and it had a bunch of lore, which was really cool. Anyway, Rose was one of 2 characters that I created for the event, and I decided to take Rose and turn her into a boy for the prompt of different gender. There she is. So around the middle of September, there was an advertisement in an art server I'm in for someone selling adopts and customs, and I thought the art style was really cute and the price felt good to me for what I would be receiving, and so I messaged them. I was like, hey, I think a cotton candy raccoon would be very cute. Can I get that as a custom? What's your TOS? Stuff like that. And they did it. I sent them the money in like only 2 hours. I received the design back and I loved it, and they transferred ownership to me on Toy House, and it is great. I really do love them, but at the time of recording day 3 they were about 2 weeks old, so definitely the newest OC. They don't have a name yet. I'm thinking on it. If you want to give a suggestion, please feel free to. I'm awful at names. So on day 4, the prompt was to draw your character as either a hero or a villain version, and I picked villain, and so did everyone who has been submitting to the challenge. I guess we all just like villains. But more importantly, I wanted to mention, before anyone potentially gets disappointed, that the challenge is 31 days long. I have never successfully completed any sort of October drawing challenge in this vein where you draw every day. Part of the reason was because I didn't like the prompts most of the time, which is why I made my own for this. Anyway, the point is, I don't color in this one. It just stays a sketch, and that's because I can't do a full piece for 31 days in a row. I know some people can do it, but it's not something I can do, especially because they take like 6 hours to do a full piece that I probably am not even that proud of. And I have a job. I work for money. And even if I didn't, I don't have it in me to draw 6 hours every day for an entire month. That's why I do YouTube instead of trying to be like an animator. Of course, I recorded all that and didn't talk about the character at all. This is Apoc. She's also a Bug Racer OC, and she's in fact typically Rose's girlfriend, though in this AU where she becomes a villain, they never meet. Well, they probably do meet, but typically Apoc pursues Rose. They meet in Apoc's mechanic shop because Rose needs help with her prosthetic legs, and then Apoc seeks Rose out. Rose still probably comes to her mechanic shop to get her legs fixed, but Apoc probably just keeps obsessing over racing, which is why she has become a villain. She takes things too far. She doesn't care about other racers. She oftentimes doesn't care about her own health and safety in the villain AU. Normally she's relatively well adjusted. So I do edit the speed of the time lapses after the fact to better fit the pace of the video or fit the voiceover I've done, but in its original state where they're all the same frame rate, same speed, this one is the longest, which is appropriate because day 5 is for your most neglected OC. And this guy, Xian, definitely qualifies. As you'll see eventually, once I stop messing with the perspective on the wheelchair, this is an Undertale OC, and I actually never really came up with a real solid story for him. I made him while I was goofing around on a magma document with my best friend, and she has a character named Daijay, who is Xian's brother. But, you know, I made Xian, I got attached to them. I've made a lot of characters just goofing around on a magma document that I never thought of again. I just got attached to Xian for some reason. I think it's because his design is so good, which you'll see eventually, once I stop messing with wheelchair perspective, but I never gave them a story beyond that he is Daijay's older brother. And so I thought that this challenge, this prompt, is the perfect opportunity to start giving Xian a little bit more. So first of all, with some help from an advisor, I guess a close friend of mine who is an ambulatory wheelchair user, I decided to make Xian an ambulatory wheelchair user, which is why I spent so much time drawing that wheelchair. And I suppose I did already have a bit of an idea of this since they are in such fashionable clothes. They are, you know, a little bit of a fashionista. I still haven't got that story on lockdown yet. Maybe they are in fact someone who sews in men's clothes, which I imagine is extra important in the underground, since a lot of their clothes either have to be made or they come from the trash. If they're coming from the trash, they're more likely to need to be mended or altered, etc. I'm gonna try to keep thinking about Xian and give him a bit more of a fleshed out story, but at the same time I kind of want him to be just a soft guy. I don't want his life to have any conflicts, and there's not really a story without a conflict, so I don't want to give him a story because I don't want to give him conflicts. Also, I forgot to put the control on the wheelchair. It's supposed to be an electric wheelchair. Oh well. Day 6, the prompt was pajamas, and this is one of those that I didn't really like at the end. It's slowly been growing on me, but I'm still not the proudest of it. But anyway, this is of my persona, Snowmarsh. For the transformative prompts, I was doing it semi-randomly. Sometimes a character wouldn't really make sense or not be fun for a certain transformation, so I picked a different one. But I did use a random number generator to pick from my pool of OCs. Anyway, I think the reason I didn't like this was because between the pose and having him wear a shirt, I struggled to draw him how I typically draw him. They didn't end up as big as typical. I am a big guy, so my persona is also a big guy, but they came out a little bit more of an average guy instead of a big guy. But that's okay. We'll move on. On day 7, the prompt was your favorite OC ship, and so that's exactly what I drew. But there is included here a character who you won't currently find on my toy house, and that is my OC Max. And he's not on my toy house because I've been meaning to redesign him since around February, and I have been a little busy and distracted and not always motivated to draw. But that design is coming soon-ish. Not too soon, but it will be part of a YouTube video when it does come out. Anyway, I couldn't finish the redesign just for an OC-TOBER prompt. So this is Max with Mellow, and it's just Max's old design, or I guess current design, because I haven't actually done the redesign yet. And they're hugging, and I zoomed in more than original to make it easier on me. And I'm actually really proud of this, even though it's just a sketch. I think it turned out well, and they look like they're in love, which is the point. Max is also part of that story I've been writing for years and years, and I'll probably never finish if I'm honest. I'm on my 4th rough draft because I just keep changing my mind about what I want the story to be. Anyway, let's keep talking about OC-TOBER. Let's move on. Day 8 is the shortest one in its original form, which I find surprising because I feel like it was a huge struggle for me, but I guess it doesn't necessarily come across in how many frames you get, since my method of recording is basically taking a screenshot every brush stroke. But this is my D&D character Win. He is a changeling and he has a giant pet rat named Tops. So he was an obvious pick. Another option would have been to draw Xian again. Xian has a pet cat, but I selected not to do that because I just drew Xian and I hadn't drawn Win yet for the challenge. And in fact, I've only drawn Win on his reference sheet before. And for day 9, the prompt was favorite design. I interpreted this as favorite visual design that I personally made. If I am completely honest, I probably like the raccoon costumes design a little bit more, but I didn't make that, so doesn't count. Anyway, I love the colors on Mellow. I love the little gold accents everywhere, giving contrast, little pops. I love the ways that I made them more cat-like. I love how androgynous they turned out. I love how they look like a pirate. In some past versions, they definitely did not look like a pirate even when they were supposed to be. And you can't see it in this drawing, but they have a blade that is shaped like a monstera leaf, like many elements in their design, and I love the blade. Well, it's not shaped like a monstera leaf, but has like a design etched into it like a monstera leaf, because I don't know that much about blades, but I feel like a blade literally shaped like a monstera leaf would probably be a little inconvenient and impractical. Anyway, here they are, my favorite design I've ever made, and I love them. Speaking of the raccoon custom, for day 10, the prompt was to turn your OC into a human or into an animal, depending on what they started out as, and I picked the raccoon custom to turn into a human. So that's what I'm doing right now on the screen, and of course this is very fresh in my mind. I literally finished this drawing and then unplugged my drawing tablet, plugged in my microphone, and started making the voiceover. So I know all the struggles. I left their nose for last because I didn't know what type of nose she should have, but I am really proud of how this came out. I'm in love with it. I think if you put them side by side, you can tell that they're meant to be the same thing. You know, just one is a raccoon and one is a girl. And in fact, I like it so much, and helped along by the fact that the raccoon looks very magical and it doesn't have a story so far. I think this is going to be a canon form. I think that the raccoon custom is going to be some type of shapeshifter slash god situation, and this is one of the ways that they can appear when they want to be human instead of a pink and blue raccoon. Alright, so that was the last one for this week. If you were paying attention to my community posts, you'll know that I am going to post a long form video of each week of OC-TOBER Friday nights, like tonight, and that the shorts are stopping for now. And just real quick, before the video ends, I wanted to shout out some people who have been participating. So first of all, there's Gabby the Clown here on YouTube, also on Blue Sky, who's been doing every day. She has some shorts on it. It's incredible. And then a little more sporadically has been Budling. She is active here in the comments on the videos. Hello. I know you're watching this. You watch all my videos. Thank you so much. And then another one of my good friends has also been doing it. She did the first 3 days, and I get it. I've done the first 3 days of like 7 October art challenges, and I love her all the same because she wanted to do it. Anyway, that's all I have for you today, my beautiful peoples. I will see you next Friday for days 11 through 17, and until then, keep on arting, my beautiful peoples.